Hello, welcome back to the vlog. I am like covered in a summer sheen. It's very warm outside and therefore inside, so I'm going to be probably quite glistening for this video. Glistening is the nice way of putting it. It's been quite a while since I've updated you guys, and I don't have a ton of writing specific updates that I want to talk about, so I thought I would do a vlog where I do some writing updates, but also some reading updates and some other kind of adjacent things that I might want to put in the vlog and that might be interesting to you guys. I just ran an errand where I picked up this Frappuccino because it is very, very warm, like I've said, and I also dropped off the first book of Red Rising. So right now I am reading the second book of the series. You might remember if you followed me on Instagram at the time, but I read the first book a long time ago actually. I think it was March 2020 when I finished. Pierce Brown, the author, is going to be coming to New York for the release of the 6th book in the series, I believe. And I saw it and I thought it might be really fun to go, and maybe that was a sign that I should come back to that series and I should read a little bit more of it. So I rented the first and the second book from the library. The first just so I could breeze through it a little bit and kind of refresh my memory on who the characters were. It's a lot of characters and kind of the plot points. I read a summary as well. So I'm currently reading book 2 of the series and I'm about halfway through. This beautiful library book has a bunch of writing all over it. Not my doing. I treat my books very nicely. I do not write in them. No shade to anybody who does, of course. If you want to write in your books, you write in your books. I do not. So this is driving me absolutely crazy. Hopefully I will finish it up in the next few days because I'm pretty motivated to read it. And the goal is to read at least 3 of the books before I see the author because I really want to know a little bit more about what's happening in the series. I don't think I'm going to make it through all of the books that have been released before then. I've also started reading Leigh Bardugo's Hellbent, which I got as well when I met Leigh Bardugo. It doesn't have the dust jacket on it because I always take them off, otherwise they would be destroyed.
The piece of advice I always want to give to people who are working on something new is you don't have to know everything at once. The process of writing is one of revision, it's one of iteration. It is okay to have question marks when you start that first draft, and even if you think you don't, even if you've made the maps, and you've developed the languages, and you've written the character biographies, as soon as you start writing that draft, your characters are gonna sneak up on you and be like, okay? So you have to remain flexible when you're in that stage of writing.
So I have been working, just doing my day job, but I thought I would take a little 5-minute break to look away from the screen and open up a package that I just got. I think I'm gonna be probably uploading this vlog a little bit later, so probably closer to the time that like Pierce Brown comes, which means it's around the same time as my friend's birthday, and I got a bookish present for my friend. I love to look on Etsy for custom made or just kind of more unique sorts of gifts, especially bookish things, and I've been seeing a lot of these necklaces and earrings and keychains where you can get the cover of a specific book put onto a piece of jewelry basically. And she's a huge fan of the ACOTAR series, Sarah J Maas. You might know, you might not actually, because I usually don't talk about stuff I don't like, but I really do not like that series. It's not my thing, but my friend loves it. So I am really out of my element when it comes to buying gifts for her in the ACOTAR universe because I am very much not a part of that fandom, so I know nothing. So let me know if you're an ACOTAR fan. Let me know what you think of what I got. Look at that. Oh, it's so cute. You can see it has the little red spine, and on the back it has all the info for the book. It's literally a miniature little book. My friend tends to like darker covers, and she has kind of a dark academia sort of aesthetic for her bookstagram. So I didn't think that the paperback, the more popular red cover, would really go with that aesthetic. So I decided to go for the hardcover, which is this darker cover with the red spine, and it looks so cute in miniature form. I'm a sucker for anything miniature, to be fair, and I really hope my friend likes it. The problem is now I want one, but I don't know what to get. I did order myself something else, which I hope will come in the next few days. I actually can check to see, has it been shipped yet? It hasn't been shipped yet. The label's been created, but I got something else off Etsy for myself, and it is a necklace, but it's not a custom book cover. It's something else related to a very cool book that I read recently. I'll give you a hint, Allomancy. So I have just received my much anticipated merch in the mail. I have already opened it. This is not a first look or an unboxing, but before I got it out of its box, I really wanted to show you how it arrived and how beautiful it is. So here is the box, this little jewelry box, and inside opens up and you have first this, and now you know what I ordered. It's so pretty. Look at that. So these are the different symbols in Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn for the different types of metals that you can burn. And it is so beautiful. I bought this from Etsy and it is officially licensed, so very, very exciting. They had two different versions. This one is the cheaper material, but it looks absolutely great. I will see how it holds up once I wear it like a million times, because I'm going to wear it a million times. This is not the right shirt to wear it with, but it happened to be what I was wearing, so. I'm vibing my two favorite things, cats and fantasy. I absolutely love it. Hello again. Just wanted to do a quick little update to this vlog. We are exactly 2 weeks out from the Pierce Brown event as of today. So time is kind of running out. I have finished the second book as planned and I've started the third. So I think I'm okay. I think I'm on track to finish before the event. I have my library book. I'm sorry for the very ugly cover. It protects the book, which I guess is the purpose, but it is not pretty to look at. This one is kind of beat up. I am about somewhere between a quarter and a third the way through. I think I'm on track. I think I'll be able to finish it no problems before the event, as long as I don't get distracted. I will admit I've been a little bit distracted lately. I have not been reading quite as fast or as engagedly, with as much concentration as I would like to. And I'm also a little bit distracted by some other things I want to read. I did finish Hellbent before I finished, well, after I finished book 2, but before I started book 3. And I'm also distracted. This one is the one that I have sitting on my stack, even though I haven't started it. I want to read it so badly. It's the third book in the Side series by Neil Shusterman, and it's just really engaging. I did not expect it to grab me like it has. I figured I would like it because the concept sounded so cool, and I, read a little excerpt of it and I liked the writing style, so I figured I would probably like it, but I did not realize I was going to become this obsessed. So I really want to read it, but look how chunky it is. So I'm waiting. I will definitely not start that one until after I finish Morningstar. But yeah, this is also a very, very chunky book. So yeah, at the end of the day, nothing looks chunky compared to Sanderson or, some other fantasy authors, but it's still a bit chunkier than the earlier books in the same series. So a lot to read, a lot to keep up with, but I am enjoying it. I will say that Red Rising, the series, is a little bit different from the types of series that I normally like to read. It feels very gritty, I guess is the word that I'm looking for, but there's gritty and then there's this type of gritty. I don't really know how to describe it. It has a lot of, darkness and violence, but lots of books that I read have that. Like I just read Hellbent. That is, I guess, gritty in its own way. It is very dark. It is, very violent and can be gory, but there's something about the way that these things are described. For example, there's a lot of there's vomiting and other sorts of bodily fluids and things like that that are just described in a way and to a detail that I'm not used to, I guess, in a lot of books. And it feels very visceral in a lot of ways, but it's a really good book. It's a really good story. And I'm really happy that I'm finally reading it, because I read the first one so long ago and then I just got distracted with the pandemic and everything else that happened and I never got back to it. And it probably wouldn't necessarily have been the best book to read during the heart of the pandemic, at least for me. Anyway, that's my rambling. I'm gonna stop for now and I will see you in a little bit with another update. So I finished Morningstar over a week before the event, so I definitely cleared my goal. I'm so happy. That book was a wild ride, especially the last quarter of it. Just the pacing completely changed. I found the pacing of these books to be a little bit inconsistent, at least for my taste. There'll be moments when it feels like absolutely nothing is happening, or we're, experiencing similar things or the same kind of struggles as we've been the entire series. So it feels a bit repetitive sometimes and a little bit, I guess, not as interesting. So it's a little bit difficult sometimes to get through some of the chapters, depending on what's happening in the plot. But then all of a sudden, something will happen and everything will get turned on its head and I will just be flipping page after page after page and just cannot read fast enough. And that was the last part of this book for me. The first 3 books of this is kind of its own trilogy, and then there's a time jump and they continue with books 4, 5, and 6, which is the one that's coming out in a week. I'm just about to run out the door to the Pierce Brown event tonight, and I'm so happy to say that I now have my Red Rising book from France. My husband's cousin brought it when she came to New York not too long ago, so thank you so much to her for bringing my book all the way from France so that I could actually have him sign it hopefully tonight.
I don't like plotting too far ahead. If I plot too far ahead, I'll rob myself of the catharsis of the actual act, and I don't get those moments, and it's very rare to have real moments of creativity. And those when I write and vaguely know where I'm going, there's enough room for me to change my mind on things. So to answer the latter part of the question first, I'm a pantser, is what it's generally called. And so I'll have like I work best when I have a 5-page outline, and I kind of know my ins and in and out of a scene vaguely.
Hi, so it's a few days later now. The event for Lightbringer was so much fun. Pierce Brown had so many interesting things to say about the book, about the series, about his writing process. That for me is one of the things that I think I love the most about going to these events. Hearing Pierce Brown's perspective and how he drafts and how he approaches his story making. Hearing Leigh Bardugo's a few months ago. They're so different. Their book series are so different. Their writing styles are so different. And it's just really, really fun to hear these different perspectives and how they create stories that people love so much. The people who attended were so much fun as well. They were super fans. Of course, this is one of these mega series. So if you have people going to the 6th book launch event, you have a lot of people who are really, really into the series. And I did get spoiled a couple of times, which I knew was a risk. I don't blame the people who asked the questions during the Q&A. I actually knew it was going to be the Q&A that was going to get me and not necessarily what Pierce Brown himself said. Obviously, if you're going to a book launch for the 6th book, you know, anything is fair game. But I figured it would be the questions from the fans, and it was. There were 2 questions that gave me a couple of pretty big spoilers, one of which is a character death. But I'm not too bothered by it, to be honest. I've started reading Iron Gold already. I'm not very far through yet, but I know I'm gonna be reading it expecting these things to happen at one point, but I'm not too bothered. I think for me, these series that have so many twists and turns, and I mean, nobody really has plot armor. There's a handful of characters who I feel like have plot armor, but for the most part in the series, anything is fair game. In stories that have more plot armor or where deaths are really treated as these big things that very rarely happen, I think it bothers me more for those sorts of series. But in this one, so many people have died. I know so many people are still gonna die. There's probably a lot more other characters who are not gonna make it in the next couple of books that I didn't get spoilers for. So I'm not too bothered by it, if I'm being honest. And everybody was really nice. It was fun to chat with a few of the fans. It was fun to hear the different questions, the different perspectives that people had reading the series. And that's also one of the things that I think I didn't expect to get out of these events, but both of them so far, Leigh Bardugo and Pierce Brown, have been really fun to be surrounded by all of these fans, to get to chat with them, to also just hear fun conversations all around you about the books and what people like and what people don't like, or what people are expecting or looking forward to in the future books, and hearing their questions to the author and getting to see the author's responses to some people's interpretations and things like that. It's really fun as a reader and also a writer, like I said, you know, hearing the different processes. I feel like Leigh Bardugo's event had a lot more writer questions. There were definitely a lot of writers present in that group. Pierce Brown, mostly I think it was fans. There were maybe 1 or 2 questions about writing and writing process, but it was really fun. And of course, I got my book signed. So I think I mentioned before, but I do have my Red Rising book from France. Thank you so much to my husband's cousin who brought it for me all the way from my in-laws' house where I have stored a bunch of my books. I got this one personalized. So it says to Andrea, and this, yes, indeed, is the British version. I got it while I was in France, and when you order English books off of Amazon, sometimes it's the only place you can get them in France, it's usually the UK edition. So even more fun because it's different probably from all the editions he was signing there. Of course, I also got the 6th book. This was part of the ticket price that I got. I think there was an option to get just a ticket and not the book, but of course I wanted the book too so that he could sign it, and it commemorates the event. So there's the signature in that one, if my camera will focus. There we go. Other than that, like I said, I've been reading Iron Gold a little bit. Also, as soon as I finished Morningstar, I ended up starting The Toll. I know I mentioned that earlier in the vlog that I really wanted to start that one. I did start it and I finished it. I ended up staying up really, really late on a work night until like 1 in the morning, finishing that book, because at one point I got to a point of no return and I had to know how it ended, and it was so good. With all that said, I think I'm gonna wrap up the vlog there. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different from what I've posted on the channel so far, but I would love to do more if you're interested in sort of my writing adjacent activities like reading, like book events and author events, and anything else that I get up to. I hope you're enjoying whatever you're reading right now, and I hope all of your writing projects are going well. I will be talking about my writing projects a little bit more in an upcoming vlog. I've already started filming some clips for it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon in another bookish video.